Hey guys. I don't know if I'm gonna like sit or stand yet, so we just might try both. Yeah, maybe let's try both. Obviously, I'm like super nervous for so many reasons, but also really excited because I know, and it's been really cool to just like see Jesus remind me this week of like the things that he's done in the last year in my life, and just be really encouraged by that. But one of my favorite verses ever has been, I don't actually even know where it's at, but it's in Revelation, and it says like we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So like my goal today is just like to share like what that blood has done for me, like intimately in the last year. So before we start, I just want to take a few minutes and allow you guys and ask you to pray for me right now, and pray that like Jesus would be pointed to, and that like my nerves that are on fire for so many reasons would just be calmed, and that there would be peace in this room as we talk about Jesus. So I'm gonna just let you guys pray for me. Okay. So when Rafer asked me to do this, he gave me a few questions, and the first was, where were you a year ago? So some of you like may know some of this, and some of you might not. But a year ago, I was coming out of a really, really dark place that was just super lonely and incredibly dark. And I had worked at like a ministry for 2 years, and then things just kind of went crashing. That's a whole different story for a different day, because that's not in the last year. So we can talk about that if any of you are curious anytime. But I had taken like 7 months off to just like travel, and kind of just like ran from all things Jesus and from God himself, or I thought I was. But I was just in a very dark place emotionally and spiritually and mentally and in every way. And so I had just moved back to Clovis and was putting some roots down late July of last year. And I was really hungry for consistency of any kind, and I was hungry for hope. I was hungry for the things that I had found in Jesus before, you know. So I was so hungry for that, and I started coming to Oasis, and was really met by like all of you. And I remember so clearly singing songs like today. Rafer played a few that I asked him to, but the song that says, "The darkest night, you can light it up." I remember singing that song and being like, maybe, like, I think I'll give you a try, because I had run for so long, and I really didn't feel like there was an ability for him to light up this dark night. Like, I really didn't feel that he was like could touch the darkness that was in my soul. And so I remember singing it and just like kind of being like, you might be able to, I guess I'll like give you a try, because everything else has left me still aching, still like longing for him. So I remember singing those songs and just like singing them with like a hope, but kind of with a doubt of like, I'll give you a shot, but I don't know that you can. And it's just been really cool to like see him just light up my dark night. Yeah, I just didn't know that he could. And I remember asking him like if you can do it, but I like want to give you another shot. And was just looking for like a miraculous work in my heart, and God did that. And so, and it's kind of crazy to just sit here and share it. I think I had so much anxiety this week. I texted Christy this morning and I was like, sorry I didn't tell you because I didn't really want like anybody, and Taylor yesterday, I was like, hey, this is happening. But I feel like there's so much to say. And so it's hard to like pinpoint what all God has done. But really like he met me in all of that, like with my tiny bit of obedience and my tiny bit of just being like, okay, I'll give you a shot. Like he really surrounded me like with this church and with beautiful people in my life, like my community outside of this church, as I just came back and I was stripped. Like I had nothing left, all the things that I like used to hang on to, you know, like I used to be like, I can be righteous in this way. Like I can, like God will love me because I'm striving for him, you know? And all of a sudden that like crashed. So I had like nothing left when I came back. Like I was like, I have nothing to stand on in my own. So like I just am giving you like a fresh, clean slate of like a try, you know? And so it's really cool to like see how God has like moved in me from like this church and like from my community here in Clovis. And honestly, like the church was what hurt me so much, like church and Christian things. Like I was just like done, like hands up, like I don't want any more, because like that was like what Jesus was to me. And so it was so crazy when I started to come back to Oasis and gave God my tiny bit of like, okay, I'll give you a shot. And he like used this church. Like I remember sitting back there on that tiny stage after, I don't even remember what the sermon was, but it like wrecked my soul. And I was like, God, like, how are you going to use like the very thing that ached me, like the church, to bring me back to you? Like, I was like, it sounds so, like it was so ironic to me. Like it might sound like simple to y'all, but I really thought like, if Jesus is going to like mend my relationship with him, it's probably going to be through like some just like intimate connection with me and him. But like he's so like attentive and faithful that like he used like an actual church body to heal what like ached me from the church body. And so that was just like such a design of his, and like so cool to see his like intricacy, like his faithfulness and just how detailed he is and attentive he is. And so that it was really beautiful for him to show me himself through this church. And now like I look at my life, and like in this last year has just been a process of like me like trusting him and like allowing this community to like truly love me, like this church to truly love me, and to show me himself and to show me like the truth of who he is, not like what I had mustered up for him to be, but in like that he would show me what it looks like when we first came out of like quarantine, or like we're in like lockdown. I remember we did a series of like what the church looks like, and it was so beautiful to see like this church like love on each other first. Like I think so many times we just are like, those people out there like need to be loved on. But like I've been so blessed to like have each of you guys like love on me and like allow me to love on you. And I think that's been something so cool that God has done like through the church, and like just established my framework of what a church could be, that a church would like love each other and like be the body first to each other, and then to like outsiders, or like, yeah, at the same time, because so many times it's like, oh, we got it, but they need it, you know? So God really like changed my mind on what that looked like with this church. And so that was just really beautiful to see, and really cool. Let me look at my notes so I'm not forgetting anything. And so like when I began to look at who Jesus was really, like I found out that like there's freedom in him, like not, like I said, like who he really is and the power that he brings, instead of like what I muster him up to be and like how I feel like I have to perform for him. But there's like true freedom in Jesus, like his works are mighty and powerful. And I think like I've began to learn this like actual trust for him. Before, I think I always said like, we have to trust Jesus, but that just still looked like, let me just like worry about it and freak out, you know? But in this year, I've like learned like trusting Jesus looks like releasing it for him to like show himself powerful and mighty. And so that's just been like so cool to like become, like because I was at such a raw, broken place, like Jesus showed me like his power and who he truly is. And so that was just really, really super cool. And one thing that like really blessed me in that is that like righteousness truly is in him. Like we don't have to like prove ourselves. We don't have to strive and earn his righteousness. Like righteousness is truly only in him. And so that really like changed my perspective on like being free to live and grow in Jesus. And the fact that he is powerful and he is mighty, and that we get to obey him. Like we don't have to, like he's not forcing us to, but like we get to obey him for like a life here that is beautiful and full and rich, but also in eternity. So I think a lot of times like we focus on like we have to obey so that we get to heaven, but really like we get to obey so that we have like a life that is beautiful here. Like he is about changing us like right now, right here. And like the idea of sanctification, like that is not like I have to do this, A plus B equals C so I can get into heaven. But it's like he actually changes me. Like that is not on my own, on my accord. Like it's not just my mustering up of obedience, but it's he changes me with like the little bit of obedience. Like I said, like the little bit of me giving him like a yes, he causes like actual heart change. And so like I'm getting to see that more and more in my life, like as I like give him each piece of my life. Like I'm like, okay, I'll give you like, I'll try. But really he's the one who like, I look back and there's actual heart change, you know? And it's like, I didn't even know. Like we talked about like the Karate Kid, like he thinks he's just like wiping things and like wax on, wax off. And he thinks he's just like cleaning and he's ticked. And, but like he looks back and he's like learned to fight. And so I feel like that's like what this last year has been of like, okay, like I'll just do a little bit and I'll like, as you kind of lead me, and like I look back and I'm like, wow, like you've caused like genuine heart change. And so that's just really cool to see, and really humbling to see in my own heart and in my life, like the power that Jesus has changed me. And even though I'm like not where I want to be, and I think that was something that was like really hard about this morning, was like, but I'm like still struggling all the time, you know, and I'm still making decisions that I shouldn't make, and I'm still doing things, you know, like I'm still not perfect. And Jesus was like, and that's okay, you know, because you have seen my power in these ways. And like that gives me so much hope that like he is changing me and he is like renewing me. And even like this morning, I was like, why am I like so anxious? Like I really didn't know like why I didn't want to do this, and there was so many reasons. But I realized like I had like so much fear that like standing up here was like confirming what had happened in my heart. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. Like, I don't know if I'm like ready to like fully commit, because I think like being on the outside, I had like an ability, I realized this morning, like an ability to still be kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And so I got so much anxiety because like before in my life when I was in ministry, like I was weighed down by like all of the obligation of Jesus, and like that just like wrecked me, and it became like a noose on my neck. And so I just had so much fear, and I realized this morning, like, oh, like you're fearful that if you do this, then that's going to be back, you know? And so even this morning, like I just like in worship, just praying like, okay, but Jesus, you have that. And there's not an obligation. And like, if you bring back those things, like you're going to take care of them. And so like just learning what freedom in Jesus looks like, that each day like you can like come to him and like he has it, you know, like he is taking care of it, and he's mighty and powerful, and like the things that I'm concerned about, he's taking care of. So like learning what like true actual trust looks like, and that he's doing it, and that he's faithful. And I feel like I've just learned that in a different way this year. And so I don't really have verses or much to share with you this morning, but I do have one verse, and it is in 2 Timothy 2, I believe. I'm looking up the screenshot that I have. So, JK, that was a different screenshot. So 2 Timothy 2:13, I believe it is. Let me look it up. Or can someone look it up and read that?
If we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself.
Yes. So if we are faithless, he remains faithful because he can't deny himself. And so like when I look back at this year, I see that like in every way that I tried to just like leave him on the side, like another in the fire, like he was standing next to me and I just didn't know it and I didn't want him. And I thought that would just like be better that way and that there would be freedom. But now I like get to look back and see that like he was in that with me. And not only that, like he let me go there, like he let me run from him because he was just there. And like he was holding me, and he brought me back to like a deeper understanding of who he is. And I remember all of my friends who are just like the like most amazing believers, like the whole time just were like, they let me struggle and they let me run. And because they were like, I believe that God is faithful to bring you to himself. And that was so true. Like he brought me to himself with like a renewed understanding of who he is. And with a freedom to know that I can struggle and I can be real. I can be honest, and that he is right there. And he's done it. Like righteousness is in him. It's not in me. So I have the freedom to struggle over the things that I'm struggling with in every aspect of my life, because he has already like put righteousness on me. So that's just been really neat to learn, because he's like, ultimately he's so faithful. And so I want to encourage you guys today that like God is near. He's mighty and powerful, and whatever your struggle may look like I said, like there was the most desperation, like the darkest season that I've ever gone through. And I legit didn't think God was like, could penetrate that. But I just like want to encourage you that God is near, and he's not too like high and mighty to be in your struggles. Like whether like, as that is so messy in each of our lives, like he's not too holy to be in your struggle. He's right there, and he cares, and he wants to walk with you in that, and he wants to lead you and have true actual heart change in you. So I just want to encourage you guys in that he cares for you intimately, and he wants to be in every part of your life. And no struggle is too big or too messy for him. Like he wants you to be real and like share like, this stuff sucks, like a lot. Like it sucks. Day-to-day life sometimes sucks. I think all of you like, yeah, I like want you to be able to like, to know that God is like there, and he doesn't care. Like he wants you to bring the nitty gritty to him, because you're like, it's what you feel, it's what you're going through. So like, just know that God wants you to be extremely authentic with him, and like he can handle that, and also he wants that. Like he desires for you to be real with him. Like, if you need to go to him and be like, this shit sucks, like, do it. Because if those are the words you're speaking, no matter what, like, tell him that. Because, and like, if God ever wants you to stop cussing, like, then he'll do that in your heart. Like, that's a day-to-day thing, you know? And I just like use my freedom up here as like not the pastor of Oasis to be like, like, I was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to say those words up here, but I mean, I say them in my day-to-day life. So, but really, like, to be honest with him, because like, I'm promising you that he creates true life change. Like, if that's something that like he wants to attack with you, then like he will. But like, bring your crap to him, whether that's like, if you're struggling sexually, if you're struggling with like with your sexuality, if you're struggling with your heart, with your mind, with your finances, like whatever aspect of your life that it could be, like bring it to him rawly, because he cares. And he's going to do something because he's faithful. Like, and he's going to transform your heart because he's faithful and he's real. And so I think like that's what I want to communicate the most this morning, is that there's true power in him, and like that does not rely on me. And that doesn't, it's not like, it's not like how much Maurissa can show Christ. It's not how much Maurissa can do what's holy, but it's like he is powerful and he is mighty, and he is able to create like legit heart change, and where you'll look back and be like, wow, like you were doing things, and that's terrifying, but it's so cool, because he's doing it. And there's still fear in me, you know, like, because I'm like, ooh, like I don't know if I want to get up here and say these things, because that brings like ultimately like more pressure and accountability. But I like release that, and I'm like, but that's you. Like, when you want to like bring me deeper and deeper into things, like you will do it. And so I'm so thankful for like that freedom that I found in him, and like to look back and see like he did light up a night. Like, I remember sitting in this room and like being like, whoa, like I didn't even realize it, and like I feel like peace. Like, one of the biggest ways that I can express that is like when I was struggling so hard, like my friends would ask me like, okay, but what is it that you're struggling with? And I like couldn't communicate it. Like, I was numb. Like, there was nothing that I could be like, I legit couldn't find the source of it. And it was like terrifying. Like, there was such an emotional, spiritual block. But like now, as I'm going through things, I think I have the freedom to do that. And I have the freedom to be like, because there's no weight on like my righteousness from my own actions. But I have the freedom to be real and raw and be like, this is what it is. So like, that was Jesus giving me like mental, spiritual, emotional clarity, like that I can see tangibly now. Like, I can just even like point to like, oh, this is what it is in my soul. And so God is real, and he's working in us, and he's mighty, like seriously so powerful. So whatever like your darkest night is, whether that be like a small day-to-day thing or like a huge dark night, I just really want to encourage you that like he is enough to light it up, and light it up brightly. And like, that's not going to look like probably what you think it's going to look like, but he's so powerful, and he's here, and he's in your kitchen as you're praying, and he's in your workplace as you're praying. Like, he is working. And one thing I want to encourage you guys with too, there's the song Build My Life that talks about, I will build my life and like on you, and I will not be shaken. And I remember when I was struggling so hard, and like just so numb, I would hear that song and I'd be like, that's a lie. Like, I'm shaking. Like, that's a stinking lie, because I'm actually shaking. But now that I look back, I see that like we will shake, but we won't be shaken. Like, the end result of you will not be shaken because of who Jesus is. Like, not because of your circumstance or not because of who you are, but because Jesus is good. And like I said, like, he's holding you, like he will bring you back. And so now I can look back at that situation and be like, I shook really hard. But like, ultimately I was not shaken. And so I just like want to encourage you guys with that you will shake, but like you won't be shaken, because he's good, and because he's powerful. and working in us. So I just want to encourage you guys with that, that as you look at your life and your struggles, that he has you, and he is working in each of our lives. So as we go into the holy place, I think we have a song for that. I don't really know. I just want to encourage you guys in that as you think about whether it be like a trial that he's brought you through and you meet him with thankfulness this morning, or whether it's like a really big dark night that you're looking at right now, he is powerful to light it up, and he's working and he's faithful. So I just want to encourage you guys in that this morning. And thank you guys so much for letting me share. And one thing that Rayford told me as I was preparing for this is anything that is spoken at Oasis is just the vehicle to get people to Jesus. And so this morning, I just pray that we've looked at Jesus and how powerful and mighty he is, and how much it doesn't rest on us. We get to be a part of it, but we don't have to, or we don't, he doesn't require, he doesn't need us to do it. But we get to do it, and we get to be a part of it. So I just want to point to Jesus this morning, because he's so powerful and he's so good. So thank you guys. I'll pray for us. Oh, y'all are so sweet. Thanks for being the coolest also. Rayford told me this morning, he was Oasis is just such a good place to even process what you're going through this morning, so thank you guys for just allowing me to speak up here and being the best and being my community that I get to walk through life with and be real with, and that we get to explore who Jesus is for real. So I'll pray for us really quickly. Lord, this morning I thank you so much for being in this place. And God, I thank you for the joy that it is to look back and see all that you've done in the past year in my heart. God, and it just gives me so much hope for what the days to come will look like. And God, I pray that as we just spend some time with you right now, Lord, that we would look at the things that are aching us and just know that you are in control, and that you are working in them, and that you are powerful and mighty. And God, that you are just in control, and we can rest in that, and that we can truly trust you and release our control, release our grip, because you are doing things that we can't even comprehend. And God, thank you so much for that. And we love you, and we praise you for who you are, and that you are real and present, and that you love us. So, amen, Lord.